Kafka, Stellaron Hunter. How do you plead?
To unbelievably deranged, but we'll start off by looking at the unbelievably stupid ones. Now, we've all seen some version of the classic entitled YouTube prankster, using innocent people just trying to go about their day as unwilling participants on their unfunny hidden camera show. But I guarantee you haven't seen someone do this quite like Kangao Ren, aka Reset. The Spanish creator started on YouTube in 2014, and his journey began innocently enough, posting gameplay from various video games. But he quickly became known specifically for his videos about the violent anime stealth action video game Yandere Simulator. However, over the course of the following years, Ren, like many other channels, had fully transitioned to creating content centered around reality challenges and pranks, made popular by leading creators such as Logan Paul and Mr. Beast. And this transition would mark the beginning of the end for Ren, because in 2017, just 3 years after he joined the platform, Ren posted a prank video that would change his life forever. The prank was simple enough: remove the cream from a pack of Oreos, replace the cream with toothpaste, and feed it to someone none the wiser and film their reaction and watch the AdSense money roll in. And Ren chose the perfect victim, someone who would happily take Oreos from a stranger, a homeless man. But what Ren failed to realize is that ingesting toothpaste in mass quantity can cause severe vomiting, diarrhea, and difficulty in breathing. And although there was no evidence that the homeless man in the video experienced these symptoms, Reset's 1.2 million subscribers didn't appreciate his willingness to effectively poison a homeless person for views, and neither did Spanish courts, because soon after, Reset was charged and eventually found guilty of violating the moral integrity of the homeless man. He was ultimately sentenced to 15 months in prison and was banned entirely from YouTube for 5 years. And throughout the entire process, Ren really showed very little remorse. He argued that it was just a joke, and even directly accused the prosecutor of being too serious to understand the joke. Another defense claimed it was all part of a show and that people enjoy what is morbid. In the original video, he claimed that the toothpaste helped the homeless man brush his teeth because, quote, he probably hasn't cleansed them since he became poor. And perhaps worse, in an apology video following the incident, Ren blamed the audience for their reaction to the prank, citing that, quote, people exaggerate over jokes in the street on a beggar, when surely if it's a normal person they wouldn't say anything. Ren clearly has no remorse for what he's done, and he views the homeless as mere NPCs who can be exploited and tortured for entertainment. And even though an incident of this caliber is somewhat rare, it's certainly representative of a much more problematic attitude that has swept across YouTube in recent years: views over everything no matter the cost. The truth is that YouTube rewards those who are willing to toe or cross the line, and has consistently done so for years, so it's really no wonder that creators like Ren are willing to disregard it altogether. But Ren wasn't the first, and he won't be the last. In fact, he isn't even the only high-profile YouTuber to have purposely poisoned someone under the guise of a prank. But before we continue, I want to tell you about our video sponsor Raycon. When I first tried Raycons, the quality of the rose gold or flare really no. In 2020, Indonesian YouTuber Ferdian Pelika was arrested for something similar, distributing rotten garbage and expired food to struggling transgender women pretending to be aid. And this YouTuber now faces up to 12 years in prison for his crimes. But both of these YouTubers represent cases of YouTubers targeting specific communities who are particularly vulnerable. You could simply write their cases off as extreme examples of classism or homophobia. It really has little to do with YouTube specifically. That is until you discover the slew of prank-centric crimes by YouTubers in recent years, and many of them don't discriminate as to who they victimize for profit. Take the Stokes twins, for example. Two brothers with over 25 million subscribers on YouTube and counting, with the world at their fingertips. But in 2019, they were making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Alex and Alan Stokes have been on YouTube since 2015 and have managed to avoid major controversy. But in 2019, the twins were arrested for a bank robbery prank gone wrong. In the subsequently removed video, the twins were shown running from a bank, donning all black clothing and masks while carrying duffel bags full of money. Bystanders looked on in shock as they believed it was real, and this was the desired reaction to the prank. However, the situation soon took a turn for the dangerous. After they had finished running past the public, they had booked an Uber to be their fake getaway vehicle. The Uber driver was planned to be yet another NPC to get a reaction from for the video. However, the Uber driver, terrified of the consequences for assisting a bank robbery, refused to drive the twins to their destination, but it was already too late. The public had already phoned the police, and the police, unaware that this was a prank, arrested the twins and drew their weapons on the innocent driver who they believed to be an accomplice. And what makes this even worse is that it was actually the second time the twins had pulled this prank to film their video. The first time, police let them off with a warning. They later pled guilty to the charges of false imprisonment and false reporting of an emergency, and were given 1 year probation, 160 hours of community service, and were well required to pay restitution.
When the brothers from Irvine, who gained millions of YouTube followers by making prank videos, could end up in prison. Alan and Alex Stokes have been charged with false imprisonment, accused of faking bank robberies in Irvine last October. And during one of the pranks, police mistakenly pulled a gun on an Uber driver.
Despite the Stokes twins paying for their negligence and disregard for the public, there's a reason they thought their prank was okay. It's because YouTubers stand more to gain from controversy than they stand to lose. Just look at some of the leading faces on YouTube, such as Nelk or Gideon. Both have had a fair share of controversy and arrests. Members of Nelk have actually been arrested for some of their pranks, including faking a in a Barnes & Noble, and disturbing the peace in a Target, and impersonating security personnel at the mall. Gideon has been banned from major sporting institutions such as the NBA, WNBA, and Wimbledon, whilst also being arrested for trespassing on a university campus during a prank. But in the wake of these controversies, these creator empires were thriving more than ever, because people love raunchy, controversial topics. And that's not to say that Nelk and Gideon are terrible creators by any means. Instead, they're just examples to other influencers that this stuff pays off well. Nelk's built an incredibly big empire. Because of this, there's going to be creators who will do things far worse than these creators, just to get views and attention. And this is where things get dangerous. And perhaps no creator is more guilty of causing public chaos in the name of content than Arab Andy, a former Twitch and YouTube live streamer who has since been banned from both platforms. Arab Andy was notorious for streaming every aspect of his life and letting chat donations dictate his actions to the extreme. In addition to this, Andy's viewers could donate to play an audio of their choosing from a speaker on his person.
In the name of Allah, you American scum will from this in my bag in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yo, man.
Good night, you trash niggers.
But yeah,
Predictably, this niche was a ticking time bomb for Andy, because in 2018, live on stream, he entered a University of Washington classroom full of students, and in the video, Andy calls for everyone's attention and plays an audio from one of his viewers' donations. With students and faculty thinking that this was a real bomb threat, everyone immediately ran for their lives. Arab Andy was initially sentenced to 10 years in prison, which was later reduced to 2 months. Arab Andy's experiment not only proved that giving the internet full control over your life can backfire catastrophically, but that viewers en masse crave a glimpse into unfiltered chaos and authentic human reactions to unprecedented situations. That is, as long as they can keep a safe distance behind their keyboards, and this can easily be capitalized on. And few understand this, quite like Jake Paul. During the summer of 2020, civil unrest had overtaken the United States. Protests by Black Lives Matter were occurring daily in almost every major US city, and during the chaos, there were tons of examples of retail stores being looted by bad faith actors who were using all the chaos to commit crime on innocent people. Well, Jake was actually witnessed and photographed at the scene of the looting and vandalization of the Scottsdale Mall in Arizona, with police citing that they'd received hundreds of tips about his presence amongst the crowd. Jake was then subsequently taken into custody by law enforcement and charged with misdemeanor trespassing as well as unlawful assembly. But it's really hard to believe that a high-profile multi-millionaire like Jake Paul was at this mall to steal a few $100s worth of merchandise. So why was he there? Well, of course, for content, and Jake would tell you that himself. Soon after his arrest, he released a statement on Twitter to disclaim that he nor anyone in his group had anything to do with looting or vandalism, and that they were there to film everything. He also claimed that this was an effort to bring more attention to the Black Lives Matter movement and the anger that affected communities were feeling at the time. But it's no mystery why Jake was at a chaotic looting at a mall rather than an organized civil protest outside a city hall. Jake was just there to get views and virtue signal. And although he claimed to be in full support of Black Lives Matter, he was just there to broadcast himself, doing everything he could to look good in front of viewers. And because this sparked more controversy, he would get more views. And whilst normal people saw tragedy and legitimate anger on both sides of the political spectrum, Jake Paul just saw more opportunity to make money for himself. And while he wasn't able to post his footage from that day, Jake was fortunately able to post and clickbait his actual arrest. But while Jake Paul isn't the only Paul brother to have been arrested, he is the only Paul brother to have been arrested in the US. Logan Paul's arrest took place far from Ohio. Logan explained in a 2017 video he posted that he was actually arrested in Italy, and to be fair, the story was fairly uneventful. He was apprehended by Italian military after he was caught flying a drone around the Colosseum. And while this does sound rather innocuous, it's actually emblematic of something that plagues other famous YouTubers. Logan thinking he can disregard a minor law surrounding historic landmarks all in the name of content reeks of entitlement, and Logan is far from the worst offender when it comes to entitled breaking of laws abroad, the most recent of the bunch being YouTuber Phidias. Phidias has made a name for himself in recent years with his tasteless thumbnails, blatant stalking of Elon Musk, and for stealing from the homeless to conquer a self-imposed survival challenge. However, his first arrest didn't come until this year, while he was in Japan filming a video in which he would attempt to travel across the entire country for free. It was absolutely full of stupid and just plain criminal behavior. Some of the highlights were Phidias dodging train fares wherever he could. One of his favorite strategies was to lock himself in the toilet and pretend to be sick, slipping off the train once the coast was clear. Another one of his exploits was dining and dashing from a 5-star hotel breakfast, leaving the bill unpaid. He even tried to get out of a 50-cent bus fare discrepancy after the money he begged for wasn't enough to pay the whole bill. The police even held him for 5 hours over that one. But this whole thing was
What is intersectionality? Intersectionality is a way of understanding
just a massive this year while he was in Japan filming a video, all in the name of content reeks of entitlement, and Logan is far from the worst offender when it comes to entitled breaking of laws abroad, the most recent of the bunch being YouTuber Phidias. Phidias has made a name for himself in recent years with his tasteless thumbnails, blatant stalking of Elon Musk, and for stealing from the homeless to conquer a self-imposed survival challenge. However, his first arrest didn't come until this year, while he was in Japan filming a video in which he would attempt to travel across the entire country for free. It was absolutely full of stupid and just plain criminal behavior. Some of the highlights were Phidias dodging train fares wherever he could. One of his favorite strategies was to lock himself in the toilet and pretend to be sick, slipping off the train once the coast was clear. Another one of his exploits was dining and dashing from a 5-star hotel breakfast, leaving the bill unpaid. He even tried to get out of a 50-cent bus fare discrepancy after the money he begged for wasn't enough to pay the whole bill. The police even held him for 5 hours over that one. But this whole thing was just a massive slap in the face of a country with a culture of hospitality and public order, a series of stunts that only showed how he could abuse people's trust and goodwill. Phidias might have seen Japan as an easy target because they just aren't used to dealing with people like him. And one of the strangest aspects of the video is that it's relatively easy to travel for free in Japan because of the trusting culture that Phidias was taking advantage of. Hitchhiking in the country is much safer and easier than tons of other places, meaning all of his stunts were purely for the cameras and the attention. Ice Poseidon is probably the most well known for these kinds of streams. He's been doing it for years. He practically invented the most toxic of genres, but one of his most recent stunts backfired when Australian police briefly arrested him and fellow YouTube prankster Sam Pepper in late 2023, after the duo had the bright idea of hiring escort online as a victim for one of their so-called social experiments, where they got her to agree to do her work while they filmed it, leaving out the fact that they were going to be streaming it live on Kick. And as the encounter unfolded, the two sat in the next room over as the views kept rolling in, but when the woman became aware of the scheme, it got messy. The third person who was doing the act tried to stop her from leaving. When she could finally get out, Australian police arrested both Sam and Ice Poseidon, but strangely let them go after a few hours. It was a cruel and shameful act, but apparently the police must have seen it in a different way. And our next YouTuber takes this to a whole other level. You see, Bait Alaska is a special breed of in-real-life streamer who's focused on creating the most toxic community possible. A typical Bait Alaska stream might consist of him walking around the streets of America, waving his phone in people's faces and trying to Sam and Ice Poseidon. And as the encounter unfolded, the two sat in the next room over as the views kept rolling in, but when the woman became aware of the scheme, it got messy. The third person who was doing the act tried to stop her from leaving. When she could finally get out, Australian police arrested both Sam and Ice Poseidon, but strangely let them go after a few hours. It was a cruel and shameful act, but apparently the police must have seen it in a different way. And our next YouTuber takes this to a whole other level. You see, Bait Alaska is a special breed of in-real-life streamer who's focused on creating the most toxic community possible. A typical Bait Alaska stream might consist of him walking around the streets of America, waving his phone in people's faces and trying to provoke them into a confrontation. Meanwhile, his viewers can donate and have whatever they want played on a speaker. Inevitably, most of it is hate speech or racist chants. To this, Bait Alaska reacts with fiend disappointment and embarrassment. He's playing the straight man to his more extreme audience, while still being part of the in crowd. Eventually he will find someone who won't leave once the racism starts, and that's when he doubles down, with the whole thing often ending with pepper spray, but not just from his victims. Baked was actually arrested in early 2022 and given a 30-day sentence for pepper spraying a bar employee in Arizona. But this wasn't his only crime. Bait Alaska is both promoting and profiting from the phenomenon of the online echo chamber. His streams around his persona implicitly encourage the abuse and the escalation, and the more incentivized towards donating edgy language his audience are, the more he gets paid. Before finding his own crowd of wannabe clan members, Baked worked for BuzzFeed in their social media department. It was there he learned how to make money and gain attention. But when he started shifting more to the right, he eventually lost his job. And it's hard to tell how serious Beta Alaska really is, because a modern technique by extremist groups is to shroud their beliefs in layers of irony and sarcasm, which makes it more palatable for new audiences and gives them an easy excuse. He could even be apathetic to all of it, pretending to be a far-right extremist so that he can extract wealth and exploit this echo chamber of viewers. He even seemed to have a change of heart at one point. In a 2019 article, he told the Daily Dot that he was brainwashed and that he felt like he was part of a cult, and this was in response to the tragic New Zealand shooting carried out by an alt-right extremist. However, his reformation didn't last long, and as time went on, it got harder to believe that he was just playing a character. His participation in the January 6th riots didn't get him any points either. Instead, it got him 60 days in jail, 2 years of probation, and another misdemeanor charge to add to the collection instead. With any luck, Baked Alaska will slowly see his audience dry up as he fades into obscurity. There's always the lurking danger that people will latch on to the hate and act on it. It's already happened time and time again. And streamers like Baked Alaska are the most dangerous and destructive towards society because they give these evil ideologies the content to keep indoctrinating more people, something he knows himself, but at this point he's got nothing else left. While Baked Alaska might play a role in fueling the mental illness and violent tendencies of others, our next YouTuber has been on the other end of the cycle entirely. Boogie2988 has been absorbing and putting out negativity online for years. Once a well-respected YouTuber known as one of the friendliest and nicest guys on the internet, Boogie's downfall has been a decade-long tragedy. Now, Boogie's been enjoying a small renaissance recently with the release of Mike Clum's brilliant debut documentary about him, and there's some unforgettable scenes, but one of the most memorable is his conversation with an employee at a professional staffing agency.
I am disabled, there's that. Now, the downside of that is I am extremely depressed, so there's some mental health issues that we bring to the table. And then physically, I am morbidly obese. I have no references, no work history, and no education. And when you Google my name,
here in Hawaii, the lines between...
you might see rumors that I beat my ex-wife, and I am also a pedophile.
It has to be seen to be believed, but what makes it so enticing is the conflict between real life and the victim mentality that Boogie has been peddling online for years. Every attempt Boogie makes at coasting forward on sympathy gets politely shut down. Every guilt trip gets ignored. It prompts him to give up entirely and go back to his online bubble. Not that he was ever actually serious about getting a job to begin with. Boogie's underlying mental illnesses and his depressive attitude have been both rewarded and made worse by the internet. While his few remaining fans have somehow kept him afloat financially, the legions of people either rightfully criticizing or making personal attacks have given him yet another excuse to be miserable. And it was one of these trolls, an ex-YouTuber called Frank Hassel, that pushed him over the edge. Hassel is a character who's pretty similar to Baked Alaska. He makes right-leaning live streams, which often involve him harassing members of the public or generally trying to provoke a reaction. A strategy that got him banned off YouTube before all of this occurred, and it was in 2020 that he decided to begin harassing Boogie, starting an internet feud that would eventually go horribly wrong. You see, like most internet drama, it all began on Twitter, with Frank Hassel sending multiple threats and public insults to Boogie over a period of weeks and months. Boogie wasn't innocent either, of course, threatening Frank right back. Frank then leaked their DMs on Twitter, and eventually the two got into it during a podcast. Frank said that he would go to Boogie's house and make him cry, whilst Boogie said he would hurt him if he showed up, which he immediately tried to backpedal on. Then the day came when Frank tweeted that he was in Boogie's hometown. Boogie was clearly paranoid, and rightfully so, ranting all night on Twitter and suspecting everyone who came to his door of being Frank. On another podcast soon after, Boogie told Frank that he would f***ing him if he ever came to his house.
But I have no problem if you can come here, okay?
When Frank finally did show up at Boogie's house, at first Boogie didn't even open the door, but after some goading he eventually gave up and fired a warning shot to try and scare Frank away.
Boogie2988 online said someone traveled from out of state as part of a harassment came from a rival YouTuber. Williams reportedly told the person to leave and fired a warning shot.
Frank did leave, but only after hurling a few more insults at Boogie. A year after the incident, Boogie was actually charged with aggravated assault and was forced to pay a $5,000 bond for his release, after being booked into the Washington County Jail in Arkansas. Boogie really only spent a little over 3 hours in jail though, and settled with a plea deal a short time afterwards.
So that's how I spent a whole 4 or 5 hours in prison, and that was enough to break me. It still really messes with me. For the people who've been in there for days, weeks, months, years, I don't know how you do it. I'm lucky. I'm privileged, right? Like, they could have not given me bail. I could have not been able to afford bail. They could have held me until my trial date, right? I only spent 4 hours in there, but some people
It's a chilling story of how the online world can amplify and aggravate mental health issues, leading to a reaction far out of proportion with reality. However, unlike Boogie, some YouTubers actively seek out the conflict. Corey Cornut and Savannah Grillos were two people who decided to take matters into their own hands, and their mistake was posting it all on YouTube. You see, the couple began plotting their revenge. After just within a week of moving into their new home, their car was broken into twice. So the plan was simple. They'd just leave an unlocked bike in their front yard and beat whoever tried to steal it with a metal baseball bat. When the police eventually caught on, they charged both of them with assault with a deadly weapon. The thieves went unprosecuted, although in a sense they'd already been punished. However, the police reported alleged 4 times that the couple had done this, but an interview conducted by local news with one of the neighbors implied it happened a lot more times than that. The news even implied that the couple were luring people into their yard with the bike, but it's hard to see how that's really the case here. If it was an open suitcase of money, it might be different, but leaving a bike in your own yard isn't really the same thing as inviting them in to steal it. You can see why so many people sympathize with the couple here. Now, it is a relief that the charges were dropped soon afterwards, with the police saying that the would-be thieves all refused to testify. But seeing as the state didn't promise any of them immunity for trying to steal the bike, it's a result they would have expected. Even if they did prosecute, it's also incredibly unlikely any jury with half a brain cell would actually convict this couple. Obviously, it goes without saying that you really shouldn't do this. But while the justice system might not be perfect by any means, at least it got this one mostly right. Unfortunately though, not all the cases of people showing off to the internet have such a good ending. In fact, the attention and the monetary incentive that it provides can often lead twisted people down dark paths, and one of these
When Doug and Andre came to TurboTax,
we navigated a turbulent housing market by
buying a motorhome. I made their move.
monstrous people is Stanislav, a Russian streamer and YouTuber who went by the name of Replay Online. It was a truly awful situation. Stanislav lived in an apartment north of Moscow with his girlfriend, where he would stream their lives to a growing audience, and he was truly depraved. Lots of the streams were something you might expect from the deepest recesses of the dark web, not YouTube but Twitch. Stanislav abused his girlfriend over a long period, often acting out the sick wishes of people who would pay him for the privilege online. He is alleged to have covered her in pepper spray, and to have beaten her with objects in his own hands. This was along with drinking large amounts of alcohol and doing other incredibly dangerous stunts. But then the tragic day came. Stanislav had already beaten his girlfriend throughout the day, but then he locked her outside in the freezing cold for 15 minutes because of a viewer donation. This was all too much for her to take, and she passed away at some point in the stream. And when Stanislav failed to revive her after dragging her back to the house, law enforcement was called and he was promptly arrested. At first, it was thought that she had died from hypothermia, but later reports showed that she might have suffered injuries from blows to the head, nearly certainly a result of Stanislav's cruelty. Stanislav was then sentenced to only 6 years for manslaughter, far too short a time for taking someone's actual life like he did. Another injustice on top of this is that the people who encouraged the abuse and paid money to see it happen have all gotten away scot-free. But as we've seen with Stanislav, the internet can become a source of motivation for people with twisted minds. But in the early days of the internet, it wasn't like this at all. It was a more innocent time where even the biggest YouTubers spoke to their relatively small audiences through 360p camcorders. But even back then, there was darkness lurking right under the surface. Trey Eric Seltzer, known as Mr. Anime Online, was one of these YouTubers. If you saw one of his old videos, you probably wouldn't be able to tell anything was wrong. He made a name for himself in the community all the way back in 2006, posting anime reviews and classic other YouTube skits. Over the course of his channel, he gained over 1 million views, a huge achievement for such an early period in YouTube history. But over time, the videos began taking a darker tone. The anime videos started to dry up as Trey started making more and more videos about one of his new obsessions, firearms. However, behind the scenes, Trey was drinking heavily as well, and became enamored with previous school shootings. Seltzer would actually confess later on that he had begun shooting his guns into random buildings, starting fires, and actually killed his pet rabbit. And he built up this huge plan in his mind to act out the awful crimes he admired so much at his old high school. In one of Trey's final videos, he cryptically alludes to a new job opportunity and that there are bigger things in the future. Little did his audience know what these plans really were. The tragedy came in March of 2012. First, Trey went back to his family home and shot his mother, his brother, and then his father. In his own twisted logic, Trey later said that he wanted to spare them from knowing about what he was going to do. And after wrecking the house and writing guilty messages on the walls, he drove to his old high school. But after sitting in the parking lot for a few hours, he decided to cut his plan short and drove to a friend's house instead. And it was there the police arrested him and uncovered the extent of his crimes. It's unknown whether Trey decided to stop his plan altogether or just got caught before he could bring himself to carry it out. But Trey was obviously a disturbed individual who went down an incredibly dark path. The cocktail of substance abuse, mental health issues, narcissism, and isolation caused him to do the unthinkable. Eventually, he would be sentenced to life in prison without parole, where he is to this day. Now, some of the crimes and criminals we've discussed today are truly awful. In some of the cases, it was coincidental that the perpetrator was a YouTuber, but in others, it played a huge role in their offenses and their crimes. The chase for vanity, and doing anything they can for views. But in every case, it's important not to glorify the people behind the crimes, but to take their stories as a warning. Otherwise, we could indirectly contribute to the next tragedy to unfold.
Consider that New Year's resolutions are not the answer for you this year. You need real solutions, and therapy can help with that. As a therapist, I see the same pattern happen again and again at the same time every year. January rolls around, gyms fill up, diets begin, new planners are cracked open, and resolutions for change and growth echo everywhere. You made a New Year's resolution you're really gonna stick to this time, but along the way, obstacles happen. Emotions, past traumas, anxiety, life's pressures. You waited until January to start your goal, thinking now that it's January 1st and you have a goal, life is suddenly gonna change and become simple, easy, and manageable. It almost never happens overnight like we wish that it would. It's often not about the fact that you don't have a goal to improve your life until you have a resolution. We all want our lives to improve. Usually it's what's in the way of us accomplishing our goals that actually needs to be addressed. And that's where therapy comes in. Therapy isn't just us listening to you tell us that you're not getting better and that your goals are failing. Therapists are here to help you make sure that your goals are realistic, specific, and achievable. And we're here to help you along the way when you ultimately face obstacles. BetterHelp is an online platform that you can use today to set new goals and a new direction for your life. And it's super simple. Everything is online. You fill out a questionnaire to express what it is that you want help with and what specialties and qualifications you want in a therapist. And you
For almost a decade now, I've said multiple times how the worst content on YouTube comes from YouTube pranksters. There is nothing more deplorable, heinous, or dog shit than a YouTuber doing pranks.
Let's face it, YouTube today just isn't what it once was. While there's fun to be had, it feels like every other genre has been effectively neutered, as YouTube has been forced to bend to the will of advertisers, who threaten to pull out whenever the site is in controversy. And YouTube as a company always obliges. Genres like commentary are known for their controversial figures, but one area of the internet that many today seem to have forgotten about is prank channels. They join the lucky few who have not only been stigmatized by the entire online community, been subject to a clampdown by YouTube themselves, and extensively covered by mainstream publications. Names like FouseyTube, Joey Salads, Prank Invasion, Sam Pepper, and many others would become some of the most popular people online, with videos racking up hundreds of millions of views from 2014 to 2017. They were also some of the most hated.
A prank, an experiment, awareness raising.
Members of a genre filled with trolls, scammers, and delusional scumbags. Once outed, the public would never see these people the same.
The video is fake! That's right!
In this video, we're going to cover a comprehensive history of prank channels on YouTube, from their humble beginnings to a very repugnant end. Pranks, tomfoolery, mischief, even, all have been a part of entertainment well before the inception of the internet. The shocking, discomforting, yet ultimately amusing nature of pranks has often drawn the attention of many, many viewers. And even more convenient for creators, all you need is a little ingenuity, originality, and a target. And most of the work is already done. This was also the exact reason why prank channels thrived upon the creation of YouTube. Any ordinary person with a camera and some time to spare could create their own content. YouTube, at this time, even facilitated this growing subsection. Its focus on shorter, viral content made the site easily accessible to the general public, and pranks would explode in popularity because of it. Calling on inspiration from reality television like Jackass, the inception of pranks on the internet would begin with a few integral creators, namely Mediocre Films, Ed Basemaster, Rami Gaillard, and Jack Vale Films. Their first few uploads to YouTube would often define their individual niches on the site. Mediocre Films debuted on October 11th, 2006 in a video called Greg Hits Hollywood. In the video, a fictional news reporter, Greg, would stand outside Mann's Chinese Theater in Hollywood interviewing passerbys, the catch being him hitting the interviewees in the face with the microphone. After its success, Mediocre Films would run with this style of prank, often traveling to events like Comic-Con to conduct similar styles of interview.
You know this guy, it's Black Man. Good to see you, Black Man.
Black nerd.
Black Man.
Black nerd.
Black Man comedy. He's good.
On the 6th of December 2006, Ed Basemaster would upload his first video, Mr. Testy, the man, the myth, the legend, introducing viewers to the titular character, Mr. Testy, and Ed's style of content, which typically had Ed playing the role of some character while interacting with members of the public. Hilarity ensues. One of Ed's most famous videos is titled, Look at This Car, in which Ed plays a rather flamboyant and obnoxious citizen who simply can't stop gawking at a car.
You know, when I see a car like this, first thing I do is I say, would you look at this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, would you look at this?
Yeah, well...
Would you look at that?
Yeah, there's a few more blemishes on the car.
Oh my gosh, just look at it.
The car is not perfect.
Just look at it.
French YouTuber Remy Gaillard would upload his first video, Disco Elevator, on July 11th, 2007. Gaillard, much like Ed, plays characters in his videos and engages with the public for pranks. At the end of 2008, one of his most iconic videos, Mario Kart, would be uploaded. Dressed as Mario, he travels along a road tossing banana peels at passing cars. Evidently, this video struck a real chord with viewers, as today, it sits at nearly 80 million views. Meanwhile, Jack Vale Films would upload his first video on July 16th of 2007, and rather than being a prank, it was a spoof commercial of American food processor company Heinz. This is notable for the fact that Ed Basemaster would post a comment describing the video as sick, disgusting, and awesome. While it was an early success, it was his prank videos that would truly define his rise to stardom. In December of the same year, he posted a video titled The Pooter, Episode 1, Farting in Public. Funny prank video! Exclamation point, in which he entered a supermarket and used a device to play fart sound effects. Believe it or not, he is still making videos exactly like this 15 years later.
Not you again.
The harmless fun of these pranks propelled these channels to the forefront of internet virality. It was these four creators who would pioneer the genre to the forefront of YouTube. They set the stage for everything that came after, and the immediate consequence of this content was that other smaller creators would begin pranking themselves to get in on some of the action. And if these guys were to compete with the establishments, they would really have to up the ante. On June 15th, 2008, Ownage Pranks would upload their first video, Raged 7-Eleven Indian Prank Call, to YouTube. Specializing in prank phone calls, Ownage Pranks would inspire a huge amount of young creators to begin posting similar content. From Logan Paul to Max Mofo, he would go viral upon the release of his second video, Angry Asian Restaurant Prank Call.
I don't care.
I kill you right now.
Kill me, I'm right here, kill me.
Okay, I come with two chopsticks, I shove up your ass.
His use of animation and involving his fans in formulating the notorious prank calls has made him the standard for prank call channels on YouTube. During this time, Jesse Michael Wellens and Jennifer Smith would also begin posting pranks to YouTube on their channel, Prank vs. Prank. The couple would prank one another rather than members of the public, allowing for the creation of constantly escalating pranks on the same target. This natural progression almost acted like a narrative, with the two shenanigans drawing the attention of the online community. Their first prank, uploaded on November 11th of 2009, Girlfriend Fake Head in Bed Scare Prank, would instantly go viral, today sitting at 20 million views. Another one of the most notable of these creators would be Magic of Rahat. Putting his talent for magic to use in the public, he would pioneer the drive-thru prank, where unsuspecting fast food workers would be subject to a series of tricks and illusions, often with comical results. His first drive-thru prank, Drive-Thru Fire Wallet, would be uploaded on April 22nd, 2011, garnering millions of views. The upload that would catapult him to stardom was his Invisible Driver prank. Today, the video sits just shy of 60 million views. This rush to fill out every single small niche possible would allow the prank genre to thrive in its heyday. Each upload attempting to one-up the last would give viewers a massive breadth of options to fit their preferences. Whether it was prank calls, couple pranks, fart pranks, magic pranks, and so on, everyone had something that appealed to them. But for some, this simply wasn't enough. They wanted more. And so, a new generation of prank channels would begin to form. They ran with the foundation set out by the predecessors and catapulted pranks not only to their highest high, but also their lowest low. These prank channels are notorious, and despite dominating the landscape of their time, today they're often remembered for their lack of self-awareness and for garnering massive public scrutiny, as pranks became less about pranks and more about attention, outrage, and the money that could be made from pushing the boundaries. While all of this had been going on, a young man born in Millersport, Ohio, had been producing short films and sketches since he was enrolled in high school. After working on various films and advertisements in Columbus, he would catch wind of the burgeoning world of YouTube content, where independent filmmakers could supposedly earn a living off of their art. Along with a group of friends, he would create a channel known as the Sketch Empire in early 2010, but due to a number of factors, they would achieve very limited success. Despite switching to pranks later on, the channel continued to perform below expectations. So this man, now age 27, would take over the channel and rebrand to Roman Atwood. Roman was, depending on the way you look at it, either a step forward or a step backward for the prank genre. He would pioneer a new style of pranking, focusing far more on the shocks that pranks could generate from the audience, rather than the more harmless pranks that formerly dominated the genre. The first upload on the rebranded channel, Epic Cooler Prank, would be uploaded on April 11th, 2011, serving as the catalyst for a new brand of pranking. Within the video, he would approach various unsuspecting passerby on the street and pretend to throw a cooler of water on them. The video today sits at well above 6 million views. Pretty impressive, but believe it or not, 6 mil is pretty low for Roman. Throughout his time as the face of online pranking, Roman's videos regularly racked up tens of millions of views per upload. For a time, he was the quintessential prankster, making very few enemies and quickly rising to the forefront of the website. He would carefully tread the line between provocative, yet still relatively tasteful, at least compared to some, uploading a series of massively popular videos. His biggest hits include Crazy Plastic Ball Prank at 91 million views, Killing My Own Kid Prank at 58 million views, and Sex with Vitaly's Mom Prank at 86 million views. Now, if Roman Atwood stood for the edgier, outrageous...
Knock out the competition in League of Legends' new season with Mobalytics. Push the best builds instead of being pushed around. Feeling paranoia over your lane opponent? Get a full list of tips, guides, suggestions, and general information.
Rage-inducing style of pranks, then Vitaly ZDTV would revolutionize it. Vitaly Zodorevsky was born in Russia in 1992, before moving with his family to Palm Beach County, Florida. Always one to put his passions over bodily integrity, Vitaly would attempt to become a professional skateboarder at an early age, before having to give up due to injuries he sustained. After a brief stint as an adult film entertainer in 2011, in 2011, he too would turn his attention to YouTube. In May 2012, Vitaly, recognizing the national interest generated by the now infamous cannibal attack on homeless people in Miami, would be inspired for his first truly viral prank, Miami Zombie Attack. With the recklessness of Roman Atwood and the ability to inspire controversy that only Vitaly ZD could muster, the video would go viral. Today, it sits at around 33 million hits.
But I can say that you're not trying to act crazy. That's who you are.
Yeah.
You chasing dudes in the hood as a zombie, that is really Vitaly.
Yeah.
This remains proof that, even at the time, the escalation of pranks really was a natural progression. For virality, people wanted something shocking. The boundaries needed to be pushed, and who other than Vitaly was going to do so? The prank itself would be the beginning of a whole new subculture in the history of YouTube, single-handedly creating what is known as hood pranks. This involves pranksters traveling to rough neighborhoods across America and attempting to prompt some kind of reaction from its residents. Roman Atwood would release a notorious prank of him supposedly stealing people's gas in the hood. The prank did not go down well with the victims, with several of them becoming very physical with him. By the end, Roman was clearly distraught and did not want to do something like that ever again.
Bro, it's a f***ing joke, dude. It's a f***ing joke.
See that?
But the video got 55 million views. Least to say, this is not the last time we'll be hearing about hood pranks. Vitaly would be a provocateur of the online web space from the second he received notoriety. No better is this shown than by a video published just a month after his zombie prank. On June 12, 2012, Vitaly and cameraman Jonathan Venegas would shoot the controversial Russian hitman prank gone wrong, where, for a section of the video, Vitaly would place a suitcase on the ground before informing people around that they had 60 seconds to escape the area. This did not go down well. After Vitaly informed one man that it was in fact just a prank, he would lunge lunge at the prankster, tackling him to the ground as his partner informed the authorities. Vitaly would ultimately be arrested on charges of threatening to detonate a bomb, a charge that carries a maximum sentence of 15 years in prison. Luckily for him, after taking the deposition of the alleged victim, the case was dismissed by the prosecutor. For Vitaly, the stunt had been an overall positive, his channel growing from 100,000 subscribers to well over 4 million in just 1 year. Plus, in the end, the charges were dropped anyway. Therefore, his interest in pranks that pushed the limits of legality and morality only grew. Vitaly would pioneer another kind of prank, then unknown to the online world, known today as gold digger pranks. The formula for such is simple. Greet a woman, have her reject you, and then walk up to an expensive vehicle, and once she tries to get your attention, reject her advances. The first instance of this kind of video will be uploaded on the 15th of October 2013 in a video titled Gold Digger Prank.
Oh yeah, who you go to dinner? By yourself? Oh wow. It's I don't usually ask twice, but you sure you don't want to go out with me? Yeah, that's my car. Why?
Well, I might be able to go out to dinner with you.
You might? There's what?
There's a bar down the street.
Oh, now you want to. Too bad. I don't like gold diggers.
In the 1-minute video, Vitaly would create a new style of pranking and garner 48 million views for his trouble. Women BTFO, a prank channel called LAHWF, would upload a video on April 16th, 2012, simply called Staring at People. And this alone probably wouldn't be notable until you take a glance at the description. One of my favorites, just a simple and harmless social experiment. This would be one of, if not the first use of the term social experiments in the pranking genre. And while LAHWF did pioneer the use for a short time, he was not the channel who ran with it.
Test your might.
Enter Yusuf Salah Arakat, more widely known by his online username, FouseyTube. Fousey would actually own multiple channels prior to his most infamous, having 17 in total, but with pranks and later social experiments, he was propelled to massive heights, easily being one of, if not the most notorious prank channel of all time, with his channel eventually standing at more than 10 million subscribers thanks to his own social experiments. In the homeless child experiment, Fousey's actress would pretend to be a homeless kid in need, asking for money in a busy shopping center, and the audience would watch as person after person walked by and offered no aid. The use of the phrase social experiment in regards to pranks would become an incredibly contentious issue. Many would come to believe that it was only used to apply cover for content creators to mask the manipulation of dark subject matter for greed behind.
I'm always looking for new ways to expand people's perspective of the world, like my animated series I created to inspire others that I made in After Effects. With Adobe Creative Cloud, you can get your vision out there.
A good cause. To this day, it is disputed whether content creators should even use their platforms to spread moral messages, how these messages should be conveyed, or what those messages should be. However, there is no doubt in my mind that the only thing Fousey was trying to do was be as famous as possible. And for the time, it was working. Fousey's insistence on social experiments to spread awareness about social issues eventually garnered a whole new subsection of pranking: homeless prank videos. Roman Atwood decided to instead upload a video giving money to homeless people. Vitaly, as usual, would seek to one-up Atwood, uploading his own video called Extreme Homeless Man Makeover in June 2013. Befriending a homeless man called Martin, he would end up providing Martin with a hotel room and clothes. The video would garner millions of views upon its release and lead to a new series of opportunities for Martin. He would accept a job offer following the video's publication, and he would even be reunited with his wife. Vitaly would later open up a campaign to raise funds to fix Martin's teeth. However, due to Vitaly's criminal history, the campaign would be closed closed after raising $10,000. Thankfully, this didn't stop a series of dental surgeons from offering to undergo the procedure for free. However, not every instance of giving to the homeless ended up being so wholesome. In December of 2014, Josh Paler Lynn would upload a video in which he gave a homeless man $100, which seems like a pretty good deed. It went on to rack up more than 50 million views, with plenty of people in the comments clearly moved by what he did. Beautiful video. It really puts a different look at humanity. Here we are in a society fighting for the next best thing, working hard to keep up with everyone else, but when all that matters in the end is helping out your fellow man, that humanity transcends race, orientation, material success, religion, etc. At the end of the day, we are all humans. Interesting thoughts. Little did the commenters know, the video in question was actually staged. And despite the comments praising Josh for the wholesome upload, things would quickly take a dark turn.
When you give homeless people money, do you ever wonder how they spent it? Today I'm gonna give a homeless guy $100, and I'm gonna follow him and see how he spent it. Just $100 here.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, just keep it. It's your money now.
An Indiegogo fundraiser was set up by Paler Lynn to help Thomas get a brand new start that gathered over $118,000 for Thomas, the homeless man in the video. The goals of the campaign were simple. We want to help him get a fresh start. Number 1, help Thomas to get a cell phone so that he can keep in touch with me. Number 2, help him to either get his condo back or get him to stay at a place that he can call home. 3, help him get a career that he deserves and start his new life again.
That's been like 4 months now, and there's a lot of people that are just victim of circumstance, and they didn't go homeless because they're late, you know what I mean?
Lazy or like
No,
drug addiction.
It
or...
could be a divorce, and one thing leads to another. The man sells his boat, his home, everything, and all of a sudden he finds out he's got no money. And he's, you know, there's a lot of good people that are homeless.
Unfortunately, Thomas would not live to see this fresh start. He would be found dead from alcohol poisoning after the campaign's conclusion. If this weren't bad enough, a contract between Paler Lynn and the homeless man was uncovered. Of the $118,000 worth of funds acquired to give Thomas a brand new start, over $20,000 would be given to Paler Lynn to cover personal expenses. This was not outlined anywhere on the Indiegogo page. But due to Thomas's unforeseen death, the contract was left unsigned. As it turns out, Thomas's real first name was Kenny, and according to his father, the prank itself was staged. Josh gave him the card and said, "Hold up the card and then I'll come along, and that's how I'll know you're homeless, and that's how I can offer you the $100, and that sort of thing." Furthermore, it is the belief of Kenny's father that he never received any of the money, implying Josh pocketed it for himself. But as of now, we have no direct evidence of that. NBC4 did attempt to make contact with Lynn via phone, email, and social media, all of which went unanswered. It would in fact be Magic of Rahat, the man who pioneered magic drive-thru pranks, that would have a far less blackmailing experience giving to the homeless. He would prank a homeless man called Eric Arsby, pretending Eric had won a lottery using a losing lottery ticket. With the losing lottery ticket, Eric won $1,000, which was all a part of the prank. Eric would attempt to split the money with Rahat, who declined the offer, but the video would touch Rahat's fans, who inquired about a possible fundraiser for Eric. The initial goal of $20,000 was more than tripled to $66,000, with over 3,000 individual donors. Rahat would upload a follow-up video on May 7th, 2014, titled "Homeless Man Gets a Home." In the video, he shows Eric the home that was bought using the fundraiser money. Given the absurd and wholesome premise of the video, it was only a matter of days before it surpassed 10 million views.
And with some of that money, we got you this house for 1 year. So this is your new home.
What a wholesome end to a wholesome story. I sure hope that years later, a scandal doesn't erupt that throws into question this entire saga. That sure would be unfortunate. There isn't really a clean way to segue into our next subject, so I'm just going to mention that during this time, Vitaly had the idea to invade the field of the 2014 FIFA World Cup final between Germany and Argentina. After attempting to kiss a player before promptly streaking across the field, he would be tackled to the ground by multiple staff members and arrested. It's important to note that FouseyTube was in the stadium. him as well with Vitaly during the stunt, and was the one who filmed the entire thing.
Vitaly ZDTV just ran on the field.
Moving on, Joey Salads.
Like a
He's
main
a
dish of
prankster
vegetable
from
and salad.
Staten Island,
Make
New
them all
York,
together
who
in the
dropped
same
out of
oven
college
for
to
30
pursue his
minutes.
YouTube career in 2012. His style of prank video had far more in common with TV shows like Jackass than the wider YouTube prank genre, but even he would soon fall in line with the formula, releasing his own homeless social experiment in early 2014. Unlike others who sought to mask their intent behind moral messaging, Salads was far less subtle in the execution, leaving him open to the whims of commentary scrutiny. One creator in particular would be especially scathing.
Tons of older men hit her up, knowing how young she was.
Hey guys, so we're all hanging out in the bathroom at the hotel room we rented, and the guy James is coming over right now, so she's gonna let him in.
Hey, just Joey Salads reporting in from the bathroom. Me here with all my other salad gang. We're just waiting for the fun to start, and we're gonna get him. We're gonna throw ranch dressing all over him. We're gonna make him salad. We're gonna make him part of the salad crew here.
Ethan Klein, known online as H3H3, would be a prominent critic not only of salads, but the wider prank community, often seeking to satirically debunk them in reaction videos.
From this video, you can see how unpredictable these child predators are. This was a very dangerous social experiment to conduct, and I don't condone anyone else to try to do the same. And also check out the video I did with Twins TV where we conducted the same exact experiment, but with a funny twist to it.
Ooh, nothing like a funny twist to the end of a little child rape video. I want to know what's that twist.
It was H3H3's hawkish nature that some prank channels would seek to exploit for their own benefit, increasing the outrage and shock of their pranks and social experiments in order to elicit a response from commentary channels such as H3, Grade A, and so on. Creators like Joey Salads would revel in this kind of attention, uploading a video on the 29th of September 2016 called Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter Supporters Social Experiment. What could possibly go wrong? In the video, Joey Salad stands outside a convenience store asking passerbys their opinion on the phrase Black Lives Matter before specifying that he believes that we shouldn't segregate people into different groups because it makes it more difficult for people to come together. He then proceeds to stand in what appears to be a black neighborhood holding an All Lives Matter sign where he is verbally warned not to hold signs like that around here and later attacked.
He's been on a tear lately. The next video he did was he left an open trunk in a black neighborhood and everybody gutted the car, obviously. But the new one, guys, you won't believe what black youth are up to these days according to Joey Salads, boy. Check it out.
As the United States 2016 presidential election approached, Salads was prepared to use it to propel himself once again to the center of all online conversation. He was going to do something that they simply couldn't ignore. Using the hood prank format, Joey Salads would release the video, Trump car destroyed in black neighborhood, social experiment. The reaction was immediate. Not only had YouTubers caught onto the video, but so did mainstream publications, lambasting Salads for the video.
So what I did was, I got a car, put some Trump apparel on it, and we're gonna park it in a black neighborhood and see what happens.
He walks away from the car, and it's almost, I swear to God, it's like a comedy scene. I swear, it's like a sketch. You can't write this shit. And then all of a sudden, right? Cut to this. Look at this shit. Like what? It literally says 15 minutes later.
If the skewed subject matter itself was already a cause for concern, when a Twitter video was released exposing the prank to be fake, the outrage only intensified. Salads had now carefully choreographed the video to be as shocking as possible, to purposefully drum up the most attention, and to perpetuate a narrative that many regarded as intrinsically hateful. Following Ethan's own video on the topic, he would manage to organize an interview with Joey Salads, not only to set the record straight, but to also humiliate Salads further, who at this time was clearly backtracking on his past actions and videos.
But now I feel like maybe his last salad has been tossed. Joey, what's going on, dude? What's going on here? How much fucking salad tossing can you endure?
My salad's been fully tossed.
In the video, Ethan grills salads on his views on race and intent behind his videos.
What else are people supposed to take from you creating constantly these perceptions that black people are violent?
You're totally right. When it came to obviously, the Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter one, and that one was not, like, I don't want these videos to make anybody look at the entire race in that type of way.
Well,
I messed up with the way that I made the videos.
From what can be seen, you could gather that Salad's videos were inadvertently malicious due to the narrative that it told his audience. A narrative that his audience wouldn't question due to a total lack of clarification as to how staged the pranks actually were. The facts that the videos in the end were scripted and the actors were paid for their work is a testament to the lack of harm it did to those involved. However, to many, that did not excuse the effect that his videos would have after their publication. This is not the only controversy Joey Salads would seek to embroil himself in. There was little indication of just how far he would ultimately go for attention, but more on that later.
Most YouTubers are absolutely shameless when it comes to getting views on the platform. They would golden shower their mothers while their father films for their vlog series if it meant a couple 100,000 views, but none are more shameless or just downright batshit insane than Prank Invasion.
While other creators would seek to capitalize on the creation of hood pranks, couple pranks, character pranks, and so on, one creator would attempt to forge new ground. With little regard for keeping pranks real, he would set out on creating the most sensationalist prank channel yet, Prank Invasion. The shtick was simple. In most of his videos, he'd walk up to a girl and ask her to take part in a simple challenge. Think rock, paper, scissors. If the girl loses the challenge, she has to give Prank Invasion a quick kiss. His pranks would range from Kissing Prank, Mommy Makeout Edition, Kissing Prank, Heads or Tails Edition, to Kissing Prank, Starbucks Employee. Starting to see a pattern here. His videos would attract a large amount of attention due to their overly gratuitous nature. I mean, they were basically softcore porn, and that
Switch to Google Fi Wireless and get Simply Unlimited. Our most affordable unlimited phone plan is just $80 per month for your family. Google Fi makes it easy to stay connected with great coverage and unlimited data, calls, and texts.
the tension was far from positive.
So he approaches this girl and makes her this offer. Just have a watch and have a listen to what it is, right?
I'm gonna flip this coin, and if I can get it right, I get a really quick blowjob.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, sure, why not? Who can resist an offer like that? Oh, hi there, really short girl of questionable age. Would you like a 50% chance of sucking my dick in the middle of this fucking filthy street, on camera, in exchange for absolutely nothing? How's that sound, love?
H3H3 was especially critical of Prank Invasion, making a series of videos on him and even managing to get into contact with an actress involved in one of the videos. This vast amount of attention attracted in such a short time by an idea that didn't really have two legs to stand on would spell doom later down the line for Prank Invasion, especially when Chris himself would draw the ire of the online community for his shamelessly fake escapades.
They said that they were looking for an actress or a model for a quick hijab kiss. They made it sound like it was something like Comedy Central, like Saturday Night Live skits, and so I didn't think I'd actually be portrayed as like a real Muslim. I applied, and immediately, I'd say about 10 minutes later, I got a call from, I think it was Chris himself. He called and he said that it was for a really big, like a really established comedy channel. He didn't say that it was YouTube. The casting call said it was, and then he just kind of went back on it. And he's like, no, it's for a really established comedy channel, like everything's great. We'll have you show up. And then he's like, now make sure to wear a thong.
The interview, while not character destroying, did shed some light on Prank Invasion, painting him as desperate for virality, and he's willing to go to whatever lengths to do so, including twisting the truth of his operation by hiring actresses.
We need to say that this is not okay. So, 5 ways that each of you can help. The first is obviously to take it seriously. Sam is not the only one. There was a big sexual abuse scandal earlier this year in the community, and sadly, there will probably be more.
Sam Pepper would be one of the most prolific pranksters of his time, yet today he remains largely forgotten by the online community. Those who do remember him only do so for the controversies he was involved in. The controversies that maligned his later career would forever taint his reputation and relegate him to internet obscurity for the rest of his time on YouTube. The beginning of the end for Pepper would begin in September 2014, when he would upload the video Fake Hand Ass Pinch Prank. In the video, Sam would approach women asking them for directions before grabbing their ass. The outcry from the online community was immediate. YouTubers from Hank Green to the Fine Brothers would demand the video be taken down due to it breaking YouTube's terms of service.
His most recent fake hand ass pinch garnered the most negative attention because he was grabbing women's bottoms without their permission.
Do you know where the Apple shop is? I was looking for it.
I think it's down that. I don't like that.
In the past, he's physically restrained women with rope, lassos, almost got himself beat up over it.
For people asking, it's safe to assume that people who sexually assault women in prank videos will not be welcome at future VidCons. This would not be the end for Pepper. Following the video's publication, the hashtag #ReportSamPepper would trend on Twitter after a plethora of women would come forward accusing Sam of sexual harassment and even rape.
After my letter was seen in the broader YouTube community and not just my own little circle, I started to get letters. Letters from young women who were allegedly groped and harassed at music festivals, conferences, meetups. There were tons of stories. Another young woman, a fellow YouTuber, told me of a time that he invited her to crash at his place and then threatened to kick her out on the street if she wouldn't get sexual with him. Then 3 more young women came forward with very serious allegations. I tried to find a way to bring these instances to light, but for now I'm not in the legal position to give the details of those accounts. What I can tell you is that a police report was filed by a young woman who was allegedly pinned down and masturbated upon against her will.
Sam, attempting to take control of the situation, would upload a follow-up video. Women would go up to men and grab a hold of their behind. As you can imagine, this did little to quell the growing anger against Pepper. Video blogger Lacey Green would pen an open letter to Pepper, criticizing both him and his uploads. You may have noticed that your latest video, Fake Hand Ass Pinch Prank, has garnered considerable negative attention. In this video, you sexually violate a number of unsuspecting women on the street, many of whom are visibly confused and upset at being touched by you without permission. One woman even says, "I don't like that," while you proceed to laugh and touch her more. In How to Make Out with Strangers, made a year ago, you pressure women on camera to make out with you, again, many of whom are visibly uncool with it. Confused and caught off guard, they painfully follow through with your requests, clearly uncomfortable. In How to Pick Up Girls with a Lasso, you physically restrain women on the street with lassos, many of whom look alarmed to be restrained by a stranger. The letter would be co-signed by various other creators, all fed up with Pepper and those he inspired with his line of pranks, namely Tyler Oakley, Tomska, and Hannah Hart. The letter would soon be signed by well over 100,000 people. We are deeply disturbed by this trend and would like to ask you, from one creator to another, to please stop. Please stop violating women and making them uncomfortable on the street for views. Please stop physically restraining them and pressuring them to be sexual when they are uncomfortable. Please show some respect for women's right to their own bodies. While it may seem like harmless fun, a simple prank, or a social experiment, these videos encourage millions of young men and women to see this violation as a normal way to interact with women. Pepper would upload a video addressing the entourage of claims made against him.
The stupidest thing I could have done. I should have just came out and said, "Hey guys, I'm an idiot. I faked this video. I wanted to, I want to make content that gets views, and I've been trying to follow the trends, and I just messed up, and I'm an idiot, and I should have done what I'm doing now."
This, again, did little to prevent punishment, and the videos would later be removed by Pepper. Green would later release a video in response called Sam Pepper Exposed, covering the allegations made against Pepper and attempting to debunk his claims following the video.
He also tried to claim that he had consent from the women in the videos. What he may be referring to is getting his consent form signed after he's done it to use the footage. When some of these women were actually asked if there was consent, their answers suggested no.
Pepper would lose corporate sponsors, access to conventions, and even the YouTube partnership program. However, he would continue, undeterred by the backlash against his videos. The straw that would break the camel's back came later in November 2015. What comes to mind when you read a title like Killing Best Friend Prank? Well, it's probably this notorious image of Sam Goldback breaking down after witnessing the faux execution of his friend Colby Brock.
Are you okay? It's gonna be alright, dude. It's gonna be alright.
That's so hard to watch.
What? No! You know, we're just kids from Kansas. You got the wrong guy. No! He's everything I have.
No way he can get out of that.
Once again, Sam Pepper inflames the online community. At Sam Pepper, disgusted and outraged by this video and its concept. It's twisted anyway, but in light of recent world events, it's just so wrong. Murder isn't a joke. Rape isn't a joke. Sexual assault isn't a joke. Sam Pepper is a joke. It's good people are calling out Sam Pepper for his prank vid, but I hope they know that's just the tip of the iceberg. He's done much worse. British newspaper, The Metro, would even go as far to describe the prank as akin to an ISIS-style execution. The uproar would be so immense that a petition was created specifically to get Pepper removed from YouTube, receiving over 100,000 signatures. Later, in an interview with the same newspaper, Sam would describe his shock over the backlash. In response to that backlash, he would open a GoFundMe. If it reached $1.5 million, he would delete his YouTube channel. This campaign would be removed. YouTube would not intervene in the cruel prank video, stating that the video itself didn't break community guidelines. Instead, Sam himself would remove it to avoid any backlash. The online vitriol against Pepper wouldn't let up in spite of his attempts to temper the crowd. Many would, of course, take their opinions to Twitter. I just watched the new Sam Pepper video and I am speechless. Absolutely vile. I once thought Sam Pepper was alright. However, his recent video disgusts me. Nobody should ever exploit absolute desperation and terror. I am disgusted by the actions of Sam Pepper. His video was cruel, dangerous, and morally wrong. He is a disgrace to our YouTube community. The victim of the prank, Sam Goldback, would later go on to Twitter to defend Pepper, stating, "It was a crazy experience, I'm not going to lie. But me and Colby have been pranking each other for the past 5 years. I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. The message here is about living life to the fullest. It's about not taking life for granted and loving it because it's so short. Most people need to see a video like that to pick up the phone and call their best friend. Going into social media, I knew at one point there would be a prank like this. After thinking through it all and spending the next few days with both Colby and Sam, I'm honestly not mad." He would go on to claim that the incident had only strengthened his friendship with Colby in a now deleted tweet.
My name is Ashley Puyol. I am the founder of a small company named Unwrap. I design my own wrapping paper. I started using Adobe well over a decade ago. I use Photoshop for photo editing. I use Illustrator for vector goods. I export it as a PDF, and boom, it's off to the printer.
Opera GX. Trying to play a game while you're watching your favorite YouTuber on the side, and then boom, your game starts lagging.
What the fuck?
Little did the online community know, the entire prank was faked. On February 21st, 2016, Pepper would private all of his YouTube videos and delete every single one of his tweets, save for one, "I give up." On the 24th of February, he would upload a video addressing the allegations made against him, as he attempted to reset his YouTube career. He would deny all allegations of sexual harassment and rape, and apologize for his pranks, detailing how they were faked and claiming that he was an idiot. He would change his videos from pranks to vlogs before ditching his channel entirely in 2018. While Sam Pepper floundered under a constant barrage of controversy, pranking came into the mainstream on YouTube. In an attempt to shore up engagement with their recently launched paid platform, YouTube Red, Prank vs. Prank creators Jesse Michael Wellens and Jennifer Smith would receive their own show, dubbed Prank Academy. During this time, Prank vs. Prank had reached the peak of their popularity, rising to around 10 million subscribers, solidifying themselves as the definitive couple prank channel. But behind the scenes, the relationship between the two had stagnated. The couple would break up, but in order to prevent it from harming their recently released YouTube Red show and their channel, would keep completely quiet about it until May of 2016.
Well, Jesse and I actually broke up well before we told you. One of the main reasons why that was because Prank Academy, our show, the production that we had been working on for months and months and months, was about to be released. To me, it would have felt so weird to publicly break up and then be like, okay, by the way, here's our show that we made, and have all these episodes rolling out. We're together and we're like a couple and happy, and you know what I mean? It would have been really weird. So that was pretty much one of the reasons why we didn't say anything. And YouTube had nothing to do with this. They didn't make us hide this from you guys. We felt it was an obligation.
They too would release a video on their daily vlogging channel called A New Chapter, with no prior indication of a falling out or even an argument between the two in the videos leading up to its release, their fans were understandably shocked about the revelation. The constant workload that the two had built their entire careers around crumbled under the stress of working, rather than really being there for each other as a couple.
But Gina and I are going to take a break from vlogging. We're going to take a break from each other. I'm going to move to New York City. Gina's going to stay here. And we're going to just take some time off.
The unsustainable nature of this would bring both their careers to a slow but steady decline from their mainstream peak. Following the video's publication, Jesse would take control of the Prank vs. Prank channel, and Jen would take control of the daily vlog channel, with the two parting ways to begin their own careers.
There's something to be said about the bottom. When we started this podcast, the most excitement was starting at 0. Not 15 million subscribers and trying to just hang on.
The two had inspired an entire subsection of the prank genre, specifically couple pranks, and after they left behind vlogging and pranking, imitators would seek to reclaim what was lost.
We're gonna pull this out, and I'm gonna make it look like I just was in this bitch just.
What?
Sorry, what?
As the prank community began to fall apart at the seams, it would soon be rocked by another wave of controversy. On June 12th, an Islamic extremist, Omar Mantine, would enter a gay nightclub called Pulse. He would proceed to commit the second worst mass shooting perpetrated by a single gunman in American history, killing 59 and injuring 54 more. On June 13th, one day later, Joey Salads would upload a new video, Radical Islam versus Radical Christianity Social Experiment. In the video, Joey Salads dresses a friend in a thob and has him throw packages at random people in the neighborhood shouting, Allahu Akbar, before running away. Joey then proceeds to imitate his friend, placing a package down at the feet of random people before saying, Praise Jesus.
Allah Akbar!
Oh shit! Oh. The reaction was hardly positive. The preceding outcry from mainstream media platforms was immense. In a now deleted response video, Salads attempted to justify the video, in spite of the climate of the time. I was not promoting my agenda, simply leaving it open for discussion, to get people talking. I apologize if it was too soon because of the Orlando shooting, but I had this video filmed for months, and I figured now is a relevant time for this topic of discussion. I wanted to open the dialogue and get people talking. Where does the problem lie? To get to the root of what could possibly be the
LegalZoom makes it simple to start an LLC in 3 easy steps. Your business dreams are as close as your fingertips. Just answer a few basic questions, and once you've done that, you're on your way to becoming your own boss. Plus, LegalZoom is a one-stop shop for helping you run and protect your business, including access to attorneys and CPAs. When you're ready to blaze your own trail, choose LegalZoom, America's #1 business formation service. Start your LLC today.
Marcus is a connoisseur of anything that's free, so he was happy to read the disclaimer on TurboTax Free Edition.
Problem, when you say this is insensitive, there are people dying every day across the world due to religious wars and terrorist attacks. If you want to say I'm being insensitive, then there's never a good time to post the video. Salads, in an admission of defeat, would eventually make public that all of the money made from the video will be donated to the victims of the Orlando nightclub shooting. Due to hate, I will be donating the money this video makes to the victims and their families. In an annotation on the video following its release, Salads would continue to defend the video from the onslaught of detractors, some of whom were apparently former fans of Joey. Seems people are disliking before understanding the concept of this video. This video shouldn't offend anyone, it simply opens a dialogue to a tragedy. This video will raise questions to why certain things happen. Watch the whole video to understand. FouseyTube was one of the most fervent critics of Salads after the release of the video. Why is the Christian in your experiment dressed in normal clothing? If you were going to say anything and you wanted to push a stereotype, have the other character dressed as KKK, and now tell me it's okay.
This is the most disgusting, offensive YouTube video I have ever seen in my entire life. Allah Akbar. That's what you... Allah Akbar. Oh my goodness. I have never been more pissed over a YouTube video in my entire life. And this is the video I'll be posting reaction to tomorrow. Allah Akbar. These are the type of people and the type of reasons I hate YouTube social experiments now. It's disgusting. These people need to be banned. If you want to watch a proper video today, go to my Twitter and retweet and watch my last tweet. It's called blame the terrorists, not that filth that I showed you earlier.
In a Twitter video, Joey responded to such claims. To the people saying that all I want to do is profit off the Orlando shooting because of the 2 fucking tags that I use, then that logic goes for everybody. All the news, all the political people, and every video on YouTube that uses the tags Orlando shooting. They shall all be crucified due to that logic. And if you think it's offensive to address a real life issue when it happens, then throw your cable box out, because every news channel does it.
People are posting all my personal information online. It's called being doxxed. People are finding all of my personal information, addresses, phone numbers, emails. My dad's phone number got leaked. My mom's address got leaked.
It's worth noting this wouldn't be the only controversy linked to pranks involving religious extremists. In February 2016, 3 brothers, known online as the Jalal brothers from Melbourne, Australia, staged hoax attacks on members of the public and were subsequently arrested. The 3 would attract attention from police after recording videos of them faking bomb threats, drive-by shootings, and even abductions, and then uploading the content to YouTube. In the clip that would get the brothers finally apprehended, the group are dressed in white robes and fire a replica semi-automatic gun out of a car window at a phone box, causing a man and his young daughter to flee. Their YouTube dream would be very short-lived. As a condition for the bail of the adult brothers, they would be prevented from making any more provocative videos until they appeared in court. Fousey, in spite of his past actions, seemed to have a second sense in regards to his position as a prank channel in a rapidly changing scene. As the prank genre became increasingly crowded, formulaic, cheap, and hated, Fousey would risk it all to maintain his position as number 1.
The homeless child experiment, the bullying experiment. What if the homeless gave you money? The kidnapping children experiment, the public rape experiment, the suicide experiment, the Kanye West Yeezys experiment, pretending to be famous experiment, a reason to smile, giving Jordans to the homeless.
In response to the outcry over fake social experiments, it appeared he wanted to expose himself before anyone else could. Maybe that way, he could control the narrative over his prior use of social experiments.
The difference between my experiments and a lot of the experiments on YouTube. My experiments are not trying to push an agenda. They're not trying to vilify a certain group or a certain, type of people. My experiments are trying to push a message.
Commentary channels were quick to point out the two-facedness of saying all of this after profiting off of social experiments, putting forward the alternative that Fousey was just doing this for money and attention. Now that the ship was beginning to sink, he was going to abandon it.
If anybody knows about fake shit, it's me. I know every video that's fake. It's obvious. I'm in the community. I know everybody who fakes shit. I know exactly how it is. Obvious, okay? So I do know. I'm not hiding from that. And I know it, and it was fake.
But I mean, you hid from it for over 3 years, Fousey. Like, it's great that you're admitting it now. Like, great, good for you. But it took you 3 fucking years, right? Over 3 fucking years. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is like the first fucking time that you've ever publicly admitted it.
Colossal is Crazy being the most prominent critic of FouseyTubes, his 2-part expose covering him got millions of views.
It's abusing a serious issue for monetary purposes, and then hiding that fact behind a message they claim could save people's lives. When it doesn't.
In his attempts to maintain his platform and relevance, while holding a moral high ground over other prank channels, Fousey had inadvertently attracted the attention of the commentary channels, and they smelt blood. It's often said that pranks of this nature are popular because people enjoy watching the misfortune of others. Fousey would certainly agree, but this next incident, while incredibly unfortunate, had nobody laughing. Mona Lisa Perez, 19, and her boyfriend, Pedro Ruiz, 22, wanted to be famous on YouTube, and they would get there no matter what. The couple would, for 2 months, run a prank and vlogging channel online. The videos, for the most part, were harmless, with little indication of just how far the two were willing to go for virality. A good example would be Mona Lisa dusting a donut with baby powder before feeding it to Pedro. One day, the pair would upload a vlog at a fun fair, and Mona Lisa would muse to Pedro, "Imagine when we have 300,000 subscribers, people will be like, oh my god, hi." Later that day, Mona Lisa would post a tweet hinting at their latest video, jokingly saying, "Me and Pedro are probably going to shoot off one of the most dangerous videos ever. His idea, not mine." Shoot was definitely a poor choice of words. Pedro would ask Mona Lisa to fire a Desert Eagle handgun about 30 centimeters from his chest, believing that a hardback, 1.5-inch thick encyclopedia would stop the bullets. It did not. In front of the couple's 3-year-old child and around 30 onlookers, the bullet would pierce through Pedro's body, wounding him. Mona Lisa would frantically call 911 for medical assistance, admitting she accidentally shot her boyfriend. Yet, upon their arrival, Pedro Ruiz was pronounced dead, aged just 22. At the time, Mona Lisa was pregnant with his second child. Under a plea bargain, she would spend
Get an unlimited phone plan starting at $80 per month for your family on Google Fi Wireless.
6 months in prison and home confinement, serve 10 years of supervised probation, be banned from owning any kind of firearm, and make no financial gain from the video. All from shooting her boyfriend dead in a botched YouTube stunt. Ironically, they had gone viral, but certainly not in the way either of them expected. The tragic, needless incident is indicative of the downward spiral that prank channels as a genre were falling down. This chasm is only going to widen as we enter the next chapter.
You're making a documentary on it so you can post it after the fact. So if it flops, you can have the hot news on how Fousey fucked up and he should kill himself.
Right.
Or if it's a success, I become a good person. Well, why are you gonna profit on me being a good person? Why can't I make a documentary on this story? Why are you releasing that video?
Throughout his time on the platform, FouseyTube has often had a problem with commentary and drama channels. Despite this apparent dislike of drama, that wouldn't stop Yusuf from seeking to stir the pot himself. The best example of this being his carefully cultivated fight with Rice Gum, which was, in fact, staged to prank figures in the community like Keemstar and Scares.
400 takes later, and we finally got it.
Both drama channels took the bait. It's not every day two YouTubers with such a sizable platform physically assault one another on camera.
Yeah, guys, so it looks like Rice Gum literally just punched FouseyTube in real life. Like, this YouTube drama shit just got fucking real, man. Like, Rice Gum literally just assaulted FouseyTube, recorded himself assaulting FouseyTube, which is ridiculous.
However, the prank to many really came off as an attempt for attention, which, while by design, only perpetuates the same cycle of drama that FouseyTube previously implored the internet not to engage with. Manipulating drama for your own motives doesn't hurt the community that was created around drama. Rather, it sustains it.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you personally are against YouTube drama, give this video a big thumbs up and leave some positivity in the comments below.
This was only further proven true when Yusuf's greatest feud came along. FouseyTube and Vitaly would have a major public falling out during 2018, a year when both seemed to burn their bridges with former friends, colleagues, and fans. The year prior, Vitaly had made a now-deleted video calling out fellow prank channels for faking their videos, explicitly mentioning FouseyTube, Prank Invasion, and Joey Salads.
And let me tell you a little bit about these bitches. Bitch number one, FouseyTube. FouseyTube, you're the biggest bitch on YouTube. You're a crybaby. You had guts to say that 99% pranks are fake. Yeah, because 1% real is me. You're the fucking fake one. A to the Z. Even your vlogs are fake.
The brutal call-out of creators who seemingly wronged Vitaly over the years created a very clear divide in the prank community and likely spurred many creators into moving on to greener pastures. Roman Atwood by this time had a daily vlogging career in full swing, successfully abandoning his first account, Roman Atwood, for Roman Atwood Vlogs, both of which would reach over 10 million subscribers by this time. There are many reasons for the switch, from the increasing amount of scrutiny and drama enveloping the prank community, to daily vlogs being more financially sustainable, as shown by his vlogging channel surpassing his prank channel. Or maybe it was just the fact that Roman was raising 2 children at the time. Whatever the reason, the fact that one of the biggest names in pranking retired early from the thing that made him famous in the first place says enough. Roman Atwood got out while it was still good. Those who did stick with pranks, like the pioneers of the genre, like Ed Basemaster, Mediocre Films, and Jack Phil Films, would face trouble with the algorithm, systematically undermining their videos and careers as pranks fell from the mainstream of YouTube. Grade A Underray would even go on to expose Mediocre Films for faking his talking car alarm prank. Mediocre Films' reasoning for this being the lack of a reaction that the prank generated.
Yeah, it's fake. You see this guy with the long hair, right? His name is Austin T. He messaged me telling me that even this innocent prank was fake. He said, and I'll quote, 3 years ago, I was asked to be in a prank video because they didn't have enough real reactions. I was told to go with whatever happens and act surprised.
But Fousey and Vitaly were different beasts entirely. While the more popular, they could withstand controversy, even thriving on the publicity it brought them.
I'm not gonna take up too much of your time in this video. I know you probably have an appointment later to bend over your kitchen counter while your friend injects steroids up your ass. The first thing, in your video you made about me, you said, I do the fake pranks. You said, you're the 1% that doesn't? Bitch, you're the one who taught me how to do fake pranks when the first video I ever did was filming your fake prank. You tell everybody that I was scared of Brazil. I was scared to have you vlog. I was nervous. You didn't talk about you assaulting women in Brazil. You didn't talk about me protecting you in your career. You didn't talk about me keeping my mouth shut, being a good friend to not hurt you.
The bulk of Fousey's accusation is that Vitaly took steroids, faked his pranks, and had sexually assaulted a prostitute during their time in Brazil, presumably during the 2014 FIFA World Cup final. Vitaly's response, meanwhile, was to go full scorched earth on the two's former friendship. If Fousey wanted to bring up his personal life, he was going to share with the entire world what they did, to potentially even tackle Fousey's career, and to debunk the character he played on camera.
Just so we can be on the same page, FouseyTube, real quick, let me ask FouseyTube a question. Fousey, have you ever had an escort, a hooker, a prostitute?
No, and as
Never in your life.
Yo, what? You can't even. Yo, and King. What? Hey,
I am
King.
mind fucking blowing.
Okay, Vitaly, let him.
The truth,
Vitaly, let him respond.
The bad blood that had brewed between the two largely came from personal differences rather than a real outrage about the other's actions. It seemed to me FouseyTube was willing to throw out personal information about the two in order to bring himself up, after Vitaly tried to drag him down. This, coupled by the culture of internet drama throughout YouTube, snowballed into a very public and very awkward exchange which never went much of anywhere. With the feud seemingly slowing down, it was Fousey's next endeavor that was far more interesting. Fousey himself was going to put on a performance that would compete with Coachella. No, he was going to put on a performance that would shake the entire online community to its core. Thrown together in 7 days, with a venue booked only 5 days before the event itself, Fire Festival was quaking in its boots. The event was envisioned to bring attention to issues ranging from police brutality, to discrimination, to mental health. And boy, did it sure bring attention to the latter. When I was chasing the numbers, chasing the fame, I did some shit that literally sold my dignity for views and money. That's YouTube. You start putting on an act. You become a slave to the numbers. You start doing shit that you wouldn't do in your actual life. In spite of concerns regarding Fousey's increasingly erratic behavior, such as inviting Ellen DeGeneres to come to the event, Fousey announced artists like Snoop Dogg and, notoriously, Drake were going to perform. He claimed he had spoken to them and that they would in fact appear, which many in the audience doubted in the days leading up to the event. And rather than ignore these concerns, he instead constantly fired back at critics on the social media pages. The intentions behind the event and what was going on with Fousey were also discussed on an episode of the No Jumper podcast, a 4-hour-long show during which Shane Dawson, Ice Poseidon, and Sam Pepper would all appear.
I think that you started off wanting to get popular with this diss track, all right? Then I think that you figured out the best way to promote this is by selling love and peace, because who doesn't want love and peace? And then you just added, well, let's end racism, because everyone wants to end racism. So if you can put out all these different reasons for people to show up to the event, you can promote the song.
Time to show the world how things are done. My greater power and purpose has been awoken. Time to rise up and take everyone with me. Wait till you see my speech to every YouTuber on stage. It was all falling into place on July 15th. At the Greek Theater, Fousey and his team prepared for the arrival of Love. Love, of course, being a metaphor for the SWAT team that was called to the event after police were called about an alleged bomb threat.
Yeah, Peter, police just packed up and the LAPD says the bomb threat turned out to be a false alarm, perhaps someone's idea of a joke. And take a look, right now employees are being allowed back up here. Either way, though, it left a lot of disappointed fans.
The event was in shambles. What could have gone wrong went wrong. The theater was bare, the performers were underwhelming, and worse yet, Drake did not show up to the event. He was never showing up to the event. So naturally, FouseyTube stood atop a car and preached to the surrounding audience of 1,500 recently evacuated attendees. This was a manic episode that would go down in history. The explosive end to a career marred by controversy.
I felt like I was letting my mom down. I felt like I was letting my dad down. I felt like I was letting my people down. I felt like I was letting God down. God gave me a voice.
Broadcast to the entire world, the event would totally curtail FouseyTube's fame. Nobody would wish to associate with him after it. He would lose his following, he would lose his fame, and he would lose his money. However, even after all the loss, Yusuf would describe later on how at the time, he didn't actually use the July 15th incident to reflect on his life. It would be a later incident in his life that would cause him to wake up. FouseyTube would be on the YouTube reality show Reality House, when he and TikToker Bryce Hall would get into a fight in the show's 4th episode. FouseyTube during this time was blackout drunk and in no state to partake in the show. He would have a conversation with fellow star, Lava Girl, when the discussion would become heated. Fousey, drunk at the time, would push her away, placing the palm of his hand on her forehead. Bryce would confront FouseyTube. "You can't say I laid hands on a woman, Bryce. I don't do that. You did lay your hands on a woman. That's a factual fucking statement, and it's on video." Bryce would then punch FouseyTube in the face, knocking him to the floor, out cold. The rest of the house guests who witnessed the fight would leave the room and Fousey on the floor. It would be producers who would tend to Fousey as he recovered. The show would eventually release a statement on the incident. To ensure the safety of the other contestants, Fousey and Bryce were both asked to leave the house. A now 31-year-old Yusuf Erekat would wake up and realize the path he was heading down. He would leave the internet for a time and enter rehab before his abuse of drugs and alcohol could catch up with him. During this time, he would reflect on his time in the spotlight and seek to forge a better life for himself. While Yusuf would fall into relative online obscurity while trying to get his life back on track, he would leave behind a controversial legacy that would be derided by his critics. During this time, Vitaly would continue a downward spiral, with not only his career taking a dive, but also his personal life. Vitaly, like Yusuf, would upend his friendships and push those closest to him away in a spiral of drugs, sex, and alcohol that would taint his future. His personal vendetta against those who wronged him in the past, like Joey Salads, would lead to very public tirades, such as his confrontation with Joey Salads at a gym.
Let's see what he has to say in person. What's up, bro? Say hi.
What's good?
What's up? Why you gotta talk all this shit?
What do you mean?
All the videos you've made talking shit about my mom.
The one video I made a year ago?
Yeah. Now I catch you finally in person. What's up? What do you gotta say?
It's YouTube beef. I don't get what the big deal is.
YouTube beef, huh? I'm in front of you right now. What you gonna do about it? You gonna talk shit about my mom?
I knew this was gonna happen.
Yeah, well, it finally happened. I was waiting for this moment to happen.
His increasingly erratic behavior blurred the lines between the persona he played online and the real Vitaly. A line that was increasingly degenerating, much like his mental state. His upload schedule, if you could even call it that, had also become increasingly sporadic, and this would all culminate in 2020, when something snapped. Vitaly would be arrested for attacking a woman while she was out jogging. The attack was unprovoked. Vitaly suddenly jumped in front of her with arms open as if to grab her. He then, according to the police, tackled her to the ground, straddled her, then punched her with closed fists in the face and chest numerous times. The police report said the attack left the woman with a 2-inch laceration above her right eye that required stitches. Vitaly would be apprehended by the police near his home.
And then I'm running for help to people. People are getting scared, and I just have flashbacks from this. I see this girl jogging, and she's with the TMZ article.
The Samsung S24 is coming, and this is a mouse case.
Whoa! Polite, I did not jump out of the bushes. She's running towards me. Oh, last thing I remember is, please help, and I tried to hug her, and she pushed me, or whatever, and I hit her, and I realized what I was doing on top of her, and I'm like, what the
Alright.
But I want to talk to you.
That's fine.
Do you have time for me?
Yes, if you step in there. I got you. Let me go get the keys so I can turn this van on.
Wait, hold on. Where are you going?
I gotta get the keys so I can turn the van on.
What?
The keys so I can turn...
For what?
The van. The one you're in. What you're in. What do you do for a living?
I do for a living. I'm so fucking successful. I'm famous.
What do you do?
Huh?
What do you do?
I got 10. You remember you remember the best soul in 2012?
Yes.
You remember the guy who dressed up as Tommy chases the guys in the hood?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm famous. I have 10 million subscribers on YouTube around Vitaly. Fucking uncensored. Where I do pranks with topless girls.
Thankfully for him, he managed to avoid any prison time for his actions, but that doesn't mean his life hasn't been forever changed by the incident.
I take responsibility for my actions, and I simply fucked up. I'm so sorry.
According to him, today he is seeking to restart his YouTube career and has sought to make amends for his actions. By the time of writing, he is almost a year sober and seemingly happy to be less reliant on vices that tore his life apart. In February 2018, Eric Arsby, the homeless man from Magic Over Hat's homeless lottery prank, would return to the internet on a channel called eTube, with the assistance of a man known as Raz. He would claim that Rahat, the man who helped him off the street, had in fact scammed him. He declared that he never received the donation money and that Rahat had made his life hell.
He's caused more pain here than you can imagine. Let people see how the fuck he dogged me and left me without fucking nothing. I don't know.
And it's okay to use profanity.
It's hurt me every day that I gotta sit here and go through the shit that I'm going through now. Trying to make it one day from another day in a hotel room and stuff like that.
Rahat would attempt to curtail the spread of the claims on Twitter, but would never end up making a video on YouTube addressing the controversy itself. After Rahat made a series of bank statements public, proving that the remainder of the money that hadn't been spent on either the house and dividends for the fundraising site was sent to Eric, Eric would upload a final video claiming that he no longer wanted money and forgave Rahat for wronging him.
Eric said he's done with YouTube and Magic of Rahat can keep the money. He is tired and stressed out over the whole situation, so he's done.
Despite his attempts to prove otherwise, Rahat's supposed guilt will be perpetuated throughout this time. His lack of response in regards to the situation on YouTube, to some, only reaffirmed his guilt. It was during this time that he would fall into depression and conclude that his time on YouTube was over. And for a time, he seemed to be trying to make peace with this.
The way I dealt with, the situation, mentally, when the very first video came out back in 2018 of Eric in front of the camera, telling his story and everything, I remember sitting there in bed thinking that's it. I knew that at this point my YouTube career was over. There's no way to come back from this at all. Oh, absolutely, 100%. I think there should be some sort of mental health program, for YouTubers and just like influencers in general. What we do it's not easy.
Having had his time in the spotlight, he was happy to resign himself to a quieter life and a new career. However, this would all change when YouTuber Jay Law would upload a video on the disappearance of Rahat. Jay often covers YouTube prank channels in his videos, and his video on Rahat may be his most important to date. Investigating the truth behind Rahat's exile from YouTube, Jay Law concluded that Rahat had been unfairly vilified by the community. He even manages to get an interview with the cameraman who worked on the original Homeless Lottery videos. He too confirms Rahat's innocence. Raz's response to Rahat's reflection on the controversy wasn't an apology. In fact, it was pretty far from sympathetic. This is Raz. I don't understand. If you have a great YouTube career, sponsorship, and all the great things you said you lost in the video, are you telling everyone reading this because a homeless man lied on you, you gave up on life? It doesn't make any sense. You're a grown man. I think there's more to this story. One man claimed he didn't get all the money, another man ran and hid for 3 years. It just doesn't make sense. Seemingly missing the points about the outrage and vitriol that the situation generated against Rahat and the mob mentality that sort of forced him off the platform, Raz continued to double down on his dismissiveness.
He claimed Rahat's story didn't make any sense and that there must be more to it, despite Rahat showing the evidence of the money being handed over to Eric.
eTube would eventually be rebranded to Raz Entertainment, calling into question how much involvement Eric may have had with the accusations, and how much was rather pushed by Raz. The account, ever since Rahat's video, has consistently faced massive dislike ratios. Rahat, despite not specifying whether or not he would return, would begin regularly uploading pranks again in January 2021, successfully reintegrating himself into the prank community. Rahat remains the greatest example of the danger of mob mentality, especially when the opposing point of view has yet to be made. Anyway, after peeing in his own mouth for a prank, Joey Salas would retire from pranking and decide to run for political office. In 2019, he began a campaign to win the Republican primary for New York's 11th congressional district, encompassing Staten Island and a small section of Brooklyn. Despite
mobile games are going big with Google Play Games. Experience more ways to play Clash of Clans to the fullest with your PC and sync your progress across mobile and desktop devices. Download and play today.
LegalZoom makes it simple to start an LLC in 3 easy steps. Just answer a few basic questions, and we'll take care of the details. Plus, LegalZoom is a one-stop shop for helping you run and protect your business, including access to attorneys and CPAs. Start your LLC today.
Raising over $66,000 for the campaign, Salads would drop out of the race. He still hasn't become a congressman, unfortunately. By 2019, Prank Invasion just wasn't pulling the numbers he used to. Demonetization had hit Prank Invasion especially hard. Today, even re-uploads of his videos are usually age-restricted. His attempts to sell the channel in December of 2018 for $135,000 would go largely ignored. But the tweet that went along with it is a notable insight into Prank Invasion's career during this time. Demonetization is a motherfucker. The lack of relevancy he faced in the waning days of his career would prompt Chris to begin tweeting increasingly outrageous things, from attempts to box Ethan Klein for $100,000, to bragging about his wealth, to complaining about how little attention he gets on social media. Eventually, Chris would claim that the entire incident was simply a ploy for a brand deal, something that few people rarely believed.
And then when it seemed like he wasn't getting anything more out of the exchanges, he made this tweet, and this is why I think he's probably the saddest man on YouTube. You see that, Magic? This brand deal wanted to pay me $25,000, but they said my Twitter impressions were low compared to YouTube and Instagram. Boom! I engineered this and played you for fools. Daddy's got his check now. No, you don't, Chris. How does that make any sense to anyone that's not 5 years old?
After all this, Chris would make one final bat for short-term relevancy, the now infamous kissing my sister prank. Of course, the outcry from creators and media alike would be immediate. The clip would go viral even before the media storm brought attention to it. However, many would begin calling into question the idea that this was in fact his sister almost instantly. The disbelief, coupled with Prank Invasion's second nature to do whatever got him more attention, only perpetuated the clip's infamy further.
He started going on and on about like, thanks for the exposure. I had a brand deal, but they said my Twitter engagement was too low, and now I got the brand deal. I'm like, shut up. That's not how brand deals work. Thanks, invaders. My brand deal confirmed a nice bonus due to these awesome Twitter stats. By the way, it has 38 likes. Awesome engagement, bro.
Prank Invasion, upon seeing what a great success smooching his sister was, decided he would try it again, this time with his mother. We are going to challenge my mom to a quick game for a quick kiss.
Yeah. The video with Caitlyn went crazy. It went viral, and I need you to do the quick game with a kiss for me.
No, Christopher, I don't want to do that.
It'll go so viral. I can't even, I need like a blindfold or something.
Uh-huh.
Alright, here we go. I was trying to stop this. Here we go. Oh my god!
Despite the clear attempt to go viral, the video largely failed to gain traction. Totally overshadowed by the prior video, it would be the last straw for Prank Invasion. With his already bare-bones reputation, sullied by short-term attempts to grab the limelight, Chris Monroe would upload a tweet, "Thank you for everything. It was a fun journey. One thing is for certain, whether you love me or hated me, when you're 90 rocking in your old chair, you will still remember exactly who Prank Invasion was or who Chris is. Whatever my name is." It would effectively be his last post as Prank Invasion. Since the tweet, his whereabouts have been a center of interest for many creators to try and pin down. Most seem to conclude that he moved to Las Vegas for a small-time job to get by, somewhere where his history on YouTube wouldn't be questioned. There's also the possibility that Prank Invasion isn't actually called Chris Monroe. YouTuber SunnyV2 would do some digging around and found the profile of a Christopher Manavi. He concludes that this is most likely Prank Invasion's real name. Prank Invasion's current whereabouts and situation are unknown to the public. By January 2019, YouTube had begun instituting harsher penalties for creators who emphasized dangerous or harmful content. While many of these penalties targeted challenges like the notorious Tide Pod Challenge, it also affected many prank channels, especially after the shooting of Pedro Ruiz. Many accounts were even banned from the platform entirely. YouTube is home to many beloved viral challenges and pranks. We've always had policies to make sure what's funny doesn't cross the line into also being harmful or dangerous. Our community guidelines prohibit content that encourages dangerous activities that are likely to result in serious harm. And today, clarifying what this means for dangerous challenges and pranks. The site said it would not allow videos that featured pranks with a perceived danger of serious physical injury. This includes pranks where someone is tricked into thinking they are in severe danger, even if no real threat existed, obviously alluding to prank creators like Sam Pepper. However, this would do little to deter pranks from pushing the limit even after the new rules were introduced. In October 2019, twin brothers Alan and Alex Stokes, dressed in all black, wore ski masks and carried duffel bags full of cash to pretend they had robbed a bank. In a now deleted video, the two would be recorded ordering an Uber to be promptly denied service by the driver. A bystander, thinking a carjacking was taking place,
No application fee if you apply by February 12th at University of Maryland Global Campus, an accredited university that's transformed adult lives for 75 years. You're not waiting to win. You're ready to succeed again at umgc.edu.
With Asana, you can drive clarity and impact at scale by connecting work and workflows to company-wide goals. Asana, a smarter way to work. Try it for free.
Would alert the authorities. Law enforcement officers are sworn to protect the public, and when someone calls 911 to report an active bank robbery, they are going to respond to protect lives. District Attorney Todd Spitzer said in a statement. Instead, what they found was some kind of twisted attempt to gain more popularity on the internet by unnecessarily putting members of the public and police officers in danger. These were not pranks. These are crimes that could have resulted in someone getting seriously injured or even killed. In August of 2020, the twins would be charged with misdemeanor false imprisonment and reporting false emergencies, only avoiding a maximum of 5 years in prison by pleading guilty for reduced sentences. Their punishment was 160 hours of community service, having to pay restitution, being barred from returning to the University of California, and a year's probation. Later, in October 2020, according to the Brussels Times, a pair of YouTubers from Belgium will be fined nearly $1,000, have their equipment confiscated by police, and be given a 4-month suspended sentence after they recorded a killer clown prank video. Dressed as clowns, the two would torment victims, wielding prop AK-47 assault rifles. The two would release a statement in response to the prosecution. Frightening a few people is not so bad if you can please a multitude of people. However, the sensationalism of these pranks would seemingly reach its peak in February 2021, when the inevitable danger of pretending fake pranks were in fact real reached its most deadly conclusion. In what was an imitation of popular robbery pranks, a 20-year-old called Timothy Wilkes and a friend wielded butcher knives and charged at a group of people as they were leaving the family trampoline park, Urban Air Trampoline and Adventure Park. A 23-year-old, David Starnes Jr., unaware of the supposed prank taking place, would not take kindly to being held at knife points. The 23-year-old in self-defense would pull out a gun and fatally shoot Wilkes. Audio of Wilkes' final words would later be released. "It's just a prank." The following outcry from mainstream media and YouTubers was swift and unanimous. YouTube pranks had been going on for far too long for the public. The one-upmanship that the community fostered for attention and relevancy had deteriorated to the point where the line for what even constituted a prank had been heavily blurred.
These fucking pranks are so stupid. The punchline is literally, ha ha ha, you thought you were about to die.
Some creators are seemingly lost to time, their careers long past their peak. People like Joey Salads, Prank Invasion, and Jesse and Jen from Prank vs. Prank have seemingly moved on from their former careers. Other creators continue to thrive on the platform. Rowan Atwood recently started a podcast where he has actually sat down with some of the most controversial pranksters of old, like Vitaly and Fusi, to get their side of the scandalous stories they took part in. Sam Pepper shifted his activity from YouTube to TikTok, posting short videos ranging from challenges to life hacks and stunts. British newspaper, The Metro, described the move as a fully fledged comeback. FusiTube has returned, deciding to take part in the world of influencer boxing. He has since gotten clean from the addiction that was tearing his life apart and seems to be doing better than ever. He also grew a beard. Vitaly, despite falling to his lowest point in 2020, has also seemingly managed to clean up his act and began getting his life back on track. Recently, he's been trying to breathe some life into his old channel. However, he'll be hard-pressed to pass his old hits. Commentary channels like H3H3 have moved on from their reaction commentary videos. Instead, he now runs podcasts that have done very little to satisfy his old audience. Grade A Underage dropped off the face of the earth just to announce his return, and then just to disappear for another year. He actually did this like 5 times. I made a video about it. And Keemstar continues to lurk around the internet despite the many attempts on his career. Funnily enough, it is the creators who are once overshadowed by the new generation of prank channels who are continuing to thrive on YouTube. Ed Basemaster, Jackville Films, Mediocre Films, Magic Over Hat, Ownage Pranks, and LAHWF are all doing pretty well for themselves. The niche they carved out serving them well. Despite its shallow reputation and squandered list of creators, there is still a home for prank channels on YouTube, but it likely won't reach the highs of 2014 or 2015, and maybe that's for the best. In the end, I'll leave it up to you to decide who really killed YouTube prank channels, whether it be the laziness and greed of creators like Prank Invasion, the idle stagnation and destructive personal lives of people like Vitaly and Fusi, or the commentary channels who sought to expose pranksters like H3 and Grade A. Maybe instead it was the various controversies encouraging YouTube to take action against prank channels as a whole to quell the storm. Whatever the case, one thing is for certain. It was never, ever just a prank.
It's just a situation that should have never happened in the first place. Terrible. That's it. See ya.
I've been Turkey Tom. Thanks for watching, and until next time, leave me alone.
when Doug and Andre came to TurboTax.
We navigated a turbulent housing market by
Buying a motorhome.
But we didn't know the first thing about filing taxes as first-time home buyers.
I knew how to make their move count. We file taxes for millions of new homeowners and guarantee 100% accuracy on land and sea.
Once again, Logan's blatant flip-flopping on the subject of Christianity shows us that Logan couldn't possibly care less about homophobia or any sort of consistency with his words. The guy went from claiming,
"If I say something, I've said it intentionally."
Told me I need a therapist because I believe in Jesus.
No,
That
I
one
didn't.
hurt me.
No, I didn't. I said you need a therapist because Jesus isn't quite doing it for you,
No, you
which
didn't.
is
No, you
which is
didn't.
true.
No, you didn't.
I
And
said,
I don't want to stand down. No, you didn't.
to just 3 weeks later pretending to apologize for disrespecting his best friend's faith.
if your character and your belief system is rooted in positivity and it gives you purpose in this incredibly confusing and difficult world, it deserves respect. And I know how loving you are, and I respect you, and I'm sorry, bro, I fucking love you.
Christianity did not change in the 3 weeks between those two clips. It's still the exact same thing it was when he called it homophobic, silly, and deserving of satire. Remember,
If I say something, I've said it intentionally.
Me being homophobic, brother, I've kissed many men.
Hey, yo.
welcome to the show.
We wouldn't know nothing about that.
The only thing that did change was the fact that Logan read the audience's reaction to the video evidence, which proved how horribly Logan treats his own friends, so Logan decided that it would be beneficial for him to pretend to publicly apologize.
You know what's in the Bible? Be careful of wolves that are disguised as sheep. There's a lot of priests.
Which
that
one?
catch
Am I
kids.
a sheep?
You know what I'm saying? There's evil everywhere, bro.
There is a massive difference between truly apologizing because you've acknowledged that you made a genuine mistake and apologizing because you know the internet expects you to. And if you've noticed, that's exactly what Logan does every single time he gets in trouble.
The intent is never to be heartless, cruel. Or malicious. Like I said, I made a huge mistake.
Another example of Logan's immediate flip-flopping was when Logan threatened to sue CoffeeZilla for defamation on numerous occasions, all because Logan decided to scam his fans, and he specifically made sure to say that his defamation lawsuit was 100% happening.
We're going to handle this ourselves while we continue to build Crypto Zoo, and I'll see you in court.
The defamation lawsuit, that is happening because this is wrong. This is wrong.
However, just a week later, after the entire internet rallied against him for his obvious attempt to financially intimidate a smaller creator, he decided to apologize to CoffeeZilla in the most spineless way possible, where he literally thanked CoffeeZilla for making such an incredible series extensively documenting his scam.
And lastly, thank you, CoffeeZilla. You have catalyzed this, and I am very grateful for your work and your investigation, and I mean that. Thank you, bro.
Logan, if you're watching this, considering your newfound appreciation for your critics, I expect a personalized thank you for this video as well. Remember,
Tell the people that you're beefing with that you're cool. Spread love, spread positivity. There's just no time for this negative shit.
if Logan didn't get negative attention from the general public for that garbage video that he made and swiftly deleted, by Logan's own admission, that lawsuit would have 100% happened because
he is a delusional, irrational little crybaby who tries to come up with every single lie he can to rationalize his reality.
So whether it's the absolute nonsense that's spewed out of his mouth to his ballooned up physique, Logan is as fake as they come.
No, I'm not on steroids. I'm not on steroids.
I don't know how many times I need to clarify this.
Despite what Logan claims, Logan is also most likely on steroids as well. Now, I want to make this clear. I have no way of definitively proving this. I don't follow the guy around all day, drug testing him, but I think the second half of that clip kind of tells us everything we need to know.
I don't know why we aren't doing USADA or VADA testing.
Well, yeah, because
the conversation was never had.
Well, because JJ is doing it with
I'm more than happy to do it. I'm more than happy to do it. I just do it.
No, I'm gonna force you to do it.
I'll do it.
You're not gonna fucking tell me that to say yes all the time.
You're fired.
No person who's not on steroids would ever want to fight someone who's on steroids. Performance-enhancing drugs are banned in professional sports for a reason, and the lack of drug testing for Logan's recent fight is inexcusable when you take into account that Tommy Fury and KSI fought on the exact same card and they participated in public VADA testing before their fight. And according to Dylan, there was no drug testing done at all prior to their fight, and if you're as definitively evil as Logan has time and time again proven to be, then what is stopping him from taking PEDs before punching someone in the face repeatedly if there's no randomized drug testing prior to the fight? According to Logan, there was a drug test after the fight, but a drug test means nothing if you know exactly when the drug test is going to be and you have access to the best resources on Earth like Logan. Logan is also in the WWE, and if you're in the WWE, it actually makes logical sense to be on steroids because most of the other guys are on steroids, and obviously in the WWE, if you have a great physique, you're going to appeal to more fans of the sport, thus producing you more income.
Andrew Tate says I do steroids. Yeah, so those aren't allowed in the sports that I do, boxing or WWE.
Yeah, buddy, steroids aren't allowed in the WWE, just like their scripts allow for unplanned right hooks to the mouth. Logan is also part owner in Prime, and if he maintains a great physique year-round, he sells more Prime because it's marketed as a sports hydration drink. So Logan actually has two separate monetary incentives to be on performance-enhancing drugs. So although I can't tell you definitively whether or not he's on steroids, the lack of pre-fight drug testing for his fight with Dylan, combined with his multiple monetary incentives to be on steroids, in addition to Logan's endless pursuit of more and more wealth, shows us that Logan is most likely eating steroids like cereal for breakfast.
I was gonna ask how much testosterone are you injecting in your ass each week in the lead up for this fight?
We've heard it. Any better questions?
Plus, there's the fact that anyone who has a better physique than me is just on steroids. Logan just wants to impress people that he doesn't know over the internet.
I'm sure most people know Logan. Logan Paul, he's
hot as fuck.
Disavow. Can you pull it up?
He's super hot.
The Wikipedias.
This is your garbage trash browser, and this is Opera GX. you see this difference? Opera is 100% customizable. You can even set how much RAM and CPU usage it uses so it doesn't slow down your computer at all. Look at how much more efficient Opera is than Chrome. Do you see this? Opera has a massive...
He says we're living in the Matrix.
So we have... Logan Paul is saying we live in the Matrix?
He wants to beat people up who aren't on PEDs while he's most likely on more juice than Ivan Drago, and he's willing to risk his own long-term health for a few extra likes on Instagram and Snapchat from a bunch of teenagers.
He makes videos for 14-year-old girls and wants to call himself a megastar. No! There can be only one, but I'll tell you what, Logan Paul, I brought you a little gift. It's a map. If you follow this, you'll find the exact directions of where you can stick each and every one of those bottles of Prime. Yeah!
Logan is nothing but a modern-day actor. The thoughts he expresses on his podcast are nothing but him saying the words that he thinks will produce him the most amount of income rather than his own genuine beliefs. His physique is faker than Kim Kardashian's, his moral compass is non-existent aside from just reading the audience's reaction, and as a result of that, he's willing to flip-flop on literally any subject, he'll lie through his teeth on video, and his word means nothing.
I can sit here with my chest out and chin held high, look at myself in the mirror at the end of the night and say, I'm a good person, and I know that.
And as we all know, a man who stands for nothing will fall for anything, like NFTs.
I have all the characteristics of a human being. Flesh, blood, skin, hair. But not a single clear, identifiable emotion, except for greed and disgust. Something horrible is happening inside of me, and I don't know why. My nightly bloodlust has overflowed into my days. I feel lethal, on the verge of frenzy. I think my mask of sanity is about to slip.
It's just a bit fat.
Toyota, I choose.
Never working that day. Can't see the use of it anyway. Can't think. Growing up is just a trap.
Logan is a child in a man's body, and it's cost his fans millions.
There's just like really no amount of money that like you can give someone to like take away their morals, because even if you get the money and stuff, you'll have a moment of, damn, I didn't need this. Every person that's taken a big bag that it went against their morals, they've at some point at least went like, damn, like I really didn't need to do this.
Yeah, but it's cool when you can say that like in a Lambo.
Why is it one or the other? Why can't you have a Lamborghini and not have to sell your soul? This is such a naive and ridiculously immature way to look at the world, and it's honestly concerning to me that this guy has tens of millions of child fans.
His narrative is truly hateful. His rhetoric has extreme negative energy in it, and it will affect impressionable young people in a way that will not show until years from now, and it is dangerous.
Because he's a man-child, Logan is hypersensitive. He is a fully grown adult who can't seem to acknowledge the fact that people in general dislike him solely based on his actions and not because everyone on the internet is just some blind hater. And as a result of this, he'll often go on these 15-minute rants about how bad and toxic commentary channels are.
You lay in your bed, and it's like, what did I do today? What have I accomplished? What have I done? And I have just never been the type of person to be satisfied making my